Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to thank the other senators who've spoken today, Senators Wells, Hay, Cormier, and Pate. You really make this a very special place. Thank you for sharing those speeches with us. I feel like I'm a fifth leg in a four-person relay race, but I will do my best to take you to the finish line. The Youth Climate Assembly, held in September 2025, was a landmark event. It brought 33 engaged young Canadians from across the country to Parliament, showing how the independent Senate can cultivate new ideas and civic engagement. To those articulate young people who attended and contributed, thank you for your energy, your vision, and your passion. Également, je tiens à remercier la sénatrice.
I'd like to thank Senator Mary Coyle, not only for launching this vital inquiry into the Canadian Youth Climate Assembly and its final report, but also for her tireless, visionary leadership as co-chair of Senators for Climate Solutions. Senator Coyle, your ability to bring the energy and voices of the next generation to the heart of our parliamentary process is of paramount importance.
Recognize Senators Coucher, Quinn, who previously served as co-chairs, and Senator Mugley, who has stepped into the role of co-leadership in that group. In reflecting on the Assembly's report and the task ahead of us, I will make 3 points. First, we must be honest about the scale of climate change. Even if global emissions stop today, we may still be looking at a planet 1.5 degrees warmer, the Paris target, than the pre-industrial average. The emissions are not going to stop today. The choices we make now can substantially alter the outcome, but whatever we do, young Canadians will be living on a planet much warmer than humanity has been used to. Some warming is now baked in, to coin a term. Our challenge is the degree to which we can reduce the impact, limit the damage, and adapt to our environment. Every fraction of a degree counts in this battle. Second, the Youth Assembly concluded that we must commit to the level of investment required to meet this challenge. To do this, we may need to spend about 5% of our GDP per year. That is about $125 billion in today's money. We need to do that consistently for each year that we fail to sufficiently reduce emissions. The path forward will become steeper. The government has admitted that we will miss our 2030 and 2035 emission reductions targets. This is not good. There is much more to be done, but fortunately, what we need to do, I believe, is still within our capabilities. Third, the Assembly noted we must view this transition not as a burden, but as a historic opportunity. As we spend that money on the transitioning from high carbon to a low carbon economy, building clean power, electrification, public transit, retrofitting and other infrastructure adaptations for a substantial future, we should do so with an eye to tackling the problems simultaneously. One of the recommendations of the Youth Climate Assembly was incentivizing the creation of sustainable, decent jobs, including dedicated initiatives aimed at young people. Colleagues, you may recall that I've been raising the crisis of youth unemployment in recent months. The youth unemployment rate has consistently been twice that of the average unemployment rate. Under 25s currently have an unemployment rate of about 13%. We have an opportunity to create well-paid, high-standard jobs for young people that will give them important skills and experience to build lifelong careers. I commend the government for the announcement of the Youth Climate Corps in Budget 2025 last fall. This is just the kind of innovative thinking that is required to meet the moment. In effect, it responds to the recommendation of the Youth Climate Assembly report, but it is a proposal that can be more ambitious. Budget 2025 proposed spending $20 million a year this year and next on this program. According to my back of the envelope calculations, that will support about 500 full-time equivalent jobs per year. It's not nothing, but it's not very much. It is not close to the scale that we need to either to reduce youth unemployment or to mitigate climate change. There are more than 400,000 under 25s currently looking for work. 400,000. And there are nearly 1 million under 29s who are not in education, employment, or training. That is untapped potential for our society and for our economy. We could be training these young people to do all sorts of useful things, certainly to mitigate the crisis of climate change. A recent report on unemployment by the King's Trust, until a year ago, headed by our colleague Senator Farah Mohammed, titled Failure to Launch, estimated that reducing youth unemployment could raise Canada's GDP by $18.5 billion by 2034, and this is probably a conservative estimate. What we need to spend on reducing emissions and limiting the degree of impact of climate change is not a burden. It is well established that at the very least it is cheaper to act than it would be to continue emitting greenhouse gases without limit. One can only wonder at what the unemployment rate would be if some of the more dire predictions about climate change come to pass. Ce dont nous parlons ici.
What we're talking about here is investment in the future of our country, of our planet, and of our young people. We can choose to hand down to them not only a Canada that is habitable, but to do so in a way that provides them with opportunities and skills, that grows our economy, creates wealth, and builds the workforce of tomorrow.
The Youth Climate Assembly helped remind us that climate change represents a major change for the policymakers of today. It need not be all doom and gloom. There are opportunities here to transform our economy. We should take those up with the enthusiasm that the Assembly had. We need to follow their leadership, youth leadership. After all, it will be their planet a lot longer than it is ours. Thank you.
Senator Kingston.